Yo, 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 what's going on, Whale fam and citizens of NFT land? This is Whale Shark, and I am thrilled to be introducing and participating in another long-term segment of Project Showcase with the amazing artists that are launching with the TRLabs platform. I'm thrilled today to have artist extraordinaire Min Shi, along with David Aru and Triple X Derek. We're going to be hosting a full-on interview with Min Shi talking about her piece, Gods Behind the Mask, which is launching in 23 hours, 48 minutes and 51 seconds on the TRLabs platform today. So this is Min Shi's very first entry and genesis piece into the NFT space. And while you might not have seen much of her work in NFT land, I can assure you that the pedigree that she brings to the space, including her work with Marvel, DC, HBO, and many others, have really set the standard for digital art today. Min Shi, welcome to the program, and we're absolutely thrilled to have you here today.
Hello, everyone. Morning from Los Angeles. I'm really grateful to be here to announcing my first NFT. I'm a digital artist. I've been working in film, TV shows, music video, commercial industry for a long time. And I'm very grateful that I work with selected clients, including HBO, Netflix, Marvel, Disney. For the past year, I worked on a film like Mulan, Captain Marvel, and the show Doom Patrol by DC Universe, Mindhunter by Netflix, the documentary Swamp by HBO, and so many other projects. I won't list it, all the projects I work on right now. Yeah.
Min Shi, that is amazing. Actually, behind the scenes, before all of you came in, I was talking to Decryptolorian, who's our moderator, who's actually managing the stream at the moment, and he said Min Shi is working on all my favorite TV shows, right? So I think it's just amazing that we have you here with us today. Before we learn even more about your journey, just wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to introduce David as well as Derek. I was saying that we're very fortunate today because Min Shi has the attention from not only a collector but also a creator and also a creative at the same time today. So this is a project showcase. This is a project showcase TRLabs first. David, would you like to give an introduction to yourself to the audience?
Yeah, I'm just I'm a 3D motion designer. I go by Octane Jesus thanks to my hair, and been making NFTs since February. I don't know. I make like very cinematic 3D content. Yeah.
David is very humble. So David is the very first digital artist to actually launch a piece for Tatler China. But that also marks, the very first piece of an NFT artist, given that David has entered the space in February, that launched on Tatler Global in general. So David, absolutely psyched to have you here with us.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm psyched to be here.
Triple X Derek, professional curator. Would you like to introduce yourself to the entire space?
Yeah, so I'm Triple X and the co-founder of Triple X, and I go by Derek or Tom. So I entered the space around like similar time in February, and so yeah, now I've been curating. I wouldn't say like sometimes there's a difference. Sometimes I also see myself as a director in some sense because there's one project I've been working on for 8 months now, like which will be launched potentially Q2 next year, and people will see like just generally enjoy working and talking with creative people, especially the artists, and with David, with me, with many others, yes, I would say like since it's hard to define who I am or what we do because as we all know that the definition of all these professions and positions are changing, evolving throughout the process and developments of this space. Yeah, like just generally, love working with artists and people from all kinds, all fields.
I think that's a good way to think of you as a director and like collaborator, because you bring people together and you kind of like, create the projects and yeah, it's like a very loose definition right now. Yeah.
Amazing. In Web 3.0, we're all going to have to wear multiple and different hats.
That's amazing. Exactly. It's all bleeding edge.
Absolutely thrilled to have all three of you with us today. This stream is actually being streamed right now, not only to the many people within the Whale family on Discord, but also streamed directly out to Twitter, where all followers of the Whale community Discord are watching in right now. So let's jump right in. Min Shi, you work with some of my two favorite companies, Marvel and DC. Every single superhero has an origin story. I want to know, what is the origin story for Min Shi, who eventually rose the ranks to become this epic digital artist that she is today?
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about how I become like a digital artist, or how I jump into NFT world? In this
I'm going to ask you both, my friend. So,
Oh,
what's your
okay.
background? How did you become the superhero within the digital art world today for all these huge companies? And then after that, how did you find yourself in NFT land?
Yeah, the first question, how become myself as a digital artist right now, it will be a long story, but I will put it in short. So I love drawing and painting random stuff, sketching when I was like 4. So my parents found the gift, because my dad is also, he's a musician and he's a very sensitive artist. So he can sense that I have some kind of creativity and that's some kind of skill. So they sent me to art school. I was systematically learn how to draw, how to paint from 5 years old to high school. And then after high school, I was gonna apply for college. And the funny thing is, like, at that point, I got confused by what kind of art and content I will make. Because like normally when you apply to a college, you have to decide what major you will be study. I have no idea, because I realized at that point all I learn and practice kind of is only on a very superficial level in terms of art. It's only about technique. I don't know what voice and what statement I want to present. And at that time, I got lucky, and because I was at that time, I got pretty interested just watching film. So kind of watching film became a part of another hobby from me. And then I have an idea, oh, can I maybe combine my art background with like this film interest together? Because I think in film, like, it's a combination of all the art genre, including fine art, literature, music, and like theatrical. So, and also you can from making film, you in that like 2 hours, you can really create a story and a world. And so I was like applying film school in China, and I got accepted by the top and the only film school in China called Beijing Film Academy. And actually a lot of Chinese famous director graduate from that school. So I was studying in that school for 4 years to pursue my film dream as a production designer, because that's the only thing I can combine with my art background. It's the production design. It's like to design visual for a film, design the set design, the character clothing, how the character look like, how each set look like. So I was in that studying process for 4 years, and at that time I got lucky and I interned for some film project in China. And then I realized film is a very big content. It involves so many big decision making and a lot of crew member. So I found myself kind of have a very, very like big limitation in the process of making a film and telling my own story. It just seems impossible to me to see myself as a film director or like a film art director, because that journey will take very long, and I just want to share my voice like pretty quickly. So I was thinking maybe there's another way to do it. And then I found out about digital art. So I was thinking digital art is like you're making your own film, because you created your own story, you created your own character, you created your own visual aesthetic about how the piece you want to present. So I came to US and I studied my master degree in University of Southern California, the School of Cinematic. My major was digital art, and at that point, I finally find like the thing combined with art, film. I'm sorry, this lighting is weird.
No worries. It's extremely cinematic, my friend.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
lens flares are always good. JJ
Yeah.
Abrams
They're always
loves those.
cinematic.
Yeah, they're always
It's a good
cinematic.
choice.
Yeah, it's so early now. Let me see if I can block this. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, so so I found a way to combine those three genres together, and I found I'm very comfortable like speaking my art with those three background together. And then I studied to self-taught learning 3D program, and I saw people been posting his work, everyday work on Instagram. And then I got inspiration. Oh, I should do that too. Because not only I want to get attention, because I just think this process is very good as an artist to force yourself, to push yourself every day a little bit more more.
Did you do every days or
No,
not really?
I kind of do every week.
I've never done them.
Yeah, I kind of do every week because I think I need
Yeah,
more time.
absolutely.
I was like new to all the programs. So I need more time to study. So I couldn't do every day. I kind of do every week. And
yeah, those are great too.
Yeah, slowly got attention a little bit on Instagram. And so kind of I use Instagram as a portfolio to like build up my image. And then I got lucky to when I about to graduate, I got the internship from Sony Picture. I was a 3D visual artist intern at that time. And after 3 months, I got contact from my dream company, Elastic.tv, who is a Los Angeles-based media production company. They create a lot of great title sequences such as Westworld, Game of Thrones. So I got direct contact from them, from a director. So, hey, do you want to work with us? I was like, yes, this is my dream because I love those titles. And I think the fascinating thing about title sequence of a show, of a movie, is like it's kind of set up a tone for a movie in a very short amount of time. Like normally it's a minute to 90 seconds. So in this 90 seconds, you have to tell and show the audience the tone and the kind of the story you want to present for the show. So I found it's very perfect because it's pretty artsy and it's pretty experimental kind of in a way. So that's how I landed as a digital artist, create for film and the show's title and also music video. And about
that's amazing. And sorry, I just want to interject because everyone is absolutely loving this interview, and we actually have our very first question from the audience already. I think you're extremely humble, right? I mean, I've heard I was really lucky at least 3 times as you were explaining your origin story, right? But a lot of us say that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Now, the audience that you're facing today is one of the largest general NFT collector and creator communities in the entire world. So we have tons of creatives out there who are saying, how can I succeed? How can I get to the level that Min Shi is? What would you say are your what would you say are the 3 critical success factors that you had to undertake to get to the level that you are today?
I think the first one is really trust yourself, but also keep adjusting and analyzing yourself, like what is going wrong, what is not working, but not in a sense like of questioning yourself as a person, and never question yourself the passion, like the eager you want to present your art, but do question like maybe little mistake and some bad decision you make during the process of making, because I made a lot of horrible stuff I don't even want to present.
It's not horrible to everyone else's standards.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah. And the second, I think mental stability is very important, because as an artist, you have to take care of yourself. Because I imagine like me right now as a new NFT artist, I've been panic kind of every day to thinking, oh, how can I make it work? And because this market is totally new to me, even though I've been a digital artist in professional industry for a couple years, still I think this NFT space is very different because it's not only about art, as always people are saying. And I noticed instantly when the first week when I jump in to this market. So as an artist, I think the second is like you really have to take care of yourself. And the third is just to keep practicing. Like if this direction not work, maybe try another direction. I mean, like in terms of your art style direction, not to change what you're doing right now. Keep working on and what you're doing, but maybe keep exploring your style until you find it.
Min Shi, those are perfect answers. And they are actually, I mean, you'd be surprised. They are actually the same answers that I look for as a collector. When I collect art within the digital world, I look for number one, someone who pursues perfection, right? Because as a collector, I want to collect perfection, or at least perfection deemed in the eyes of the artist. The second thing is I absolutely want someone who's methodical and who's thinking through their work from a very logical standpoint. And then third, I definitely want to collect an artist, who has the flexibility to understand to shift gears when something isn't working as well as what they had previously. It's the evolution and deepening of a style, right? But given that, before we learn more about your entry into the NFT space, I'm getting all these, and I think you can also see it in the private chat thing that we have here. We're actually already getting some questions in here and some questions on the Discord and some on Twitter. But why don't I ask you one very interesting question, right? You spoke a lot about mental health, and I just want to join these conversations together. So the question comes from the Whale Discord. With these great opportunities, did you ever find yourself suffering from imposter syndrome, not feeling like you are good enough to be doing what you are doing? And how did you overcome that if you did?
Yes, that's the question. That's the problem I'm facing right now. Because before I jumped in this community, I kind of never questioned myself deeply, to be honest. Because I have a studio there supporting me, and I have a professional creative director, producers to help me, to lead me in terms of determining the bigger decision about the project I'm working on right now. So as an artist, I have to say, I feel I've been spoiled working under these circumstances, because I don't have to care, because whatever there's some circumstances like, oh, we're rushing to deliver this, client changed these decisions, sorry, we have to push it forward.
It doesn't reflect on you personally as much, right? It's not like your individual artistic identity, which is a bit more it's a bit different, and that can cause way more imposter syndrome for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, like NFT artist now is like a person, me, presenting myself from all aspects. I'm my producer, I'm my like I have to marketing, I have to connect with people, and also doing the art. So I think to be honest, I'm still doing the process of like to trying to find a very positive way in terms of stabilize my mental health, because I still like older me when I'm being very stable enough sense in like making art, because I think having a stable mental health kind of situation is very helpful while you're creating the art, because you get less distracted from your like panic and question yourself. But I think I feel better every day, because I feel every day when I woke up, there are so many people supporting me, and I feel very grateful to hear that.
Yeah. Those are amazing answers, because again, I think, again, you have NFT. I mean, when I look at the NFT space, and I'm going to ask you in a tiny bit, once we go through your journey, how you got to NFTs, I'd love to better understand the difference between doing, again, more commercial based work versus your own personal projects, right? Because that's a totally different approach altogether. But when we look at the NFT space that was so nascent 2 years ago, you had artists that were selling for $2,000, $3,000, and today they're selling artwork at $4 million to $6 million. How can you not get imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's impossible, right? And how do you deal with that? I think that's a perfect answer in terms of, really focusing on yourself, self-care, making sure that there's a balance, making sure that there's mental stability, and, really keeping true to your roots. And we'll talk about that in a tiny bit. But before we get there, take me a little bit through your journey in terms of how did you find your way into NFT land? It's a beautiful place, beautiful community, beautiful people. But take me through that journey.
Yeah. I was so busy last year just about client work. And I have a lot of friends and people I know and people I've been following their work for years already devoted themselves into this NFT market since last year. And I know like David and a lot of my coworkers doing very successful, but I wasn't really paying attention, really wasn't think like I would be involving in this market because I was too busy at that point. And then about like 3 months ago, I just wrapped a kind of big project, and I have I was taking a kind of a break. Finally, I can have a weekend kind of. So I was like having time to check, what is going on? And I was thinking, oh, wow, the world is changing now. Wow, digital artists are being seen as real artists now, and they're selling their art, real art, not client work, on social media, on Twitter. But I don't even have a Twitter at that time. I was very I got quickly interested, like thinking, oh, I have a lot of work too. Maybe I can do that too. Just like, because I always want to be an individual artist. So I was just thinking, okay, how should I start? Maybe I should, I don't know. And then David messaged me, hey, please check your Instagram DM. And because Derek, this guy, he might be contact you. I was like, what? Wait, what? Because how do you know? Because I was just thinking about it like last week. And then I got contact from Derek, and he kindly introduced me about the TRLab project. And I'm very grateful. It's a team from China. And the book, we're creating art based on the book. I'm a big fan of sci-fi book. So like all the content I'm gonna create and also about the team, I'm very excited. I cannot even think a better situation than I'm being right now. I think like this is the best I can have right now. Yeah, and I just immediately say yes, I would do it, even though at the time I don't even know what is really NFT, and I don't even have a Twitter. So Derek and the TRLab team was kind of parenting me through the process. Oh, maybe you should do this. I was also doing my own research. I was like checking, how David been interacting with his collector and fans. Maybe I should copy that on Twitter. Yeah, and
I don't do a whole lot. I mostly post other people's work, and that it's like a combination of posting your own work and just keeping everyone like aware that you're still making cool stuff, but also like sharing other people's stuff. That's just my personal way of doing it, though.
That's been great, and that's why I'm here now today.
That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
It sounds so serendipitous, and I think again, Min Shi, I think it's so serendipitous today that you not only have the two people that dragged you headlong into NFT land, welcome, my friend, but you also have one of the longest standing collectors with you as well, right? So, on behalf of the entire NFT art community, I want to welcome you. It's a beautiful place. It's probably the most supportive community that I've ever seen in, my 18 years of professional life. Everyone is just so welcoming, so warm, so positive, and so constructive. And at the same time, even the dynamics between the collector and the creator are also extremely different and much more positive than what you're seeing in the traditional art world. Now, given that, Min Shi, before I ask you my last question, before I hand it off to these two gentlemen, and after that we can talk about your work, I want to say that creators in NFT land, they're not only viewed as creators, you guys are rock stars to us, right? I will literally fanboy over some of the artists within the space simply because it's such a pleasure to be able to meet the people that drive so much creativity and so much positivity within the space. So, Min Shi, I know this is your initial NFT, but I hope that it is the first of many to come. And I am sure that even though you just set up your Twitter, you are going to have a bajillion followers and you are going to have an amazing community behind you. Now, again, before we get the questions from a creator perspective and a curator perspective, I wanted to ask you my final question as a collector, which is, so you've done a lot of, and it's not commercial work, but it's client work, right? So you've done a lot of client work. Again, it's high pressured, but the direction is clearer. And then all of a sudden, you're transitioning from a creative with boundaries, guidelines, and I would say opinions, right, that change your work, to now almost like a free flow styling artist who is creating a piece of herself, right? Whenever you create a piece of work, how has that experience been? And what are some of the biggest points of enjoyment as well as challenges that you've had within this process?
Yes, that's the most exciting thing I want to talk about. I think the greatest thing, but also this thing brings some negative things to, is the freedom we can have as a creator in NFT world. Before, while we're making client work, there's not much freedom. We are kind of making a product based on the content from the client, because they already made a film. So we are kind of have to like packaging their film or packaging their show, or even just packaging a phone, something like that. So the content is already there. So all we executed is only about how to design and present a better visual for them to sell their product. So in terms of that, I think as an artist, we have a lot of limitation because maybe just a very simple example, Home Depot, their branding is orange, the color is orange. So if you imagine you are making a commercial for Home Depot, you probably can only use orange color. You can use purple that much because they already established their branding so well. They don't want to confuse the audience. So in that case, that totally makes sense, the limitation. But in terms of NFT world, like you said, is totally free. We are the content creators. We have to think about a content, especially as an artist, as a series you want to make, because you want to keep your style in the same word, so that the collectors and the viewers has a better understanding what your style is. And so I would say the freedom is the biggest thing. But I think also the limitation, the less freedom from client work also helped me actually, because it helped me set up a principle to qualify my work, and also is it my art really speaking? Is this the color is really working? Is this camera is really working? How about the editing? So from years of training by client point of view, I think I kind of set up a principle for myself as an artist to create my art. It's like a foundation. But yeah, I would say, and also in terms of that, with client work, the limitation of time management also helped me as an individual artist too, because when you have a client, they will hunt you like, oh, can I see work in progress? Can I have this today by 4 p.m. something? So you will have a producer hunting you for your project to wrap, deliver. So, but as an NFT artist, you have to be your scheduler, producer yourself. You have to manage what tasks you have to do every day. So definitely client work helped me a lot in term from those two aspects, like time management and like from creating art aspect. Yeah.
That's music to my ears because, again, as a collector, and I don't, again, it's a real pleasure to be with all three of you today. What you guys may or might not know is that I've been actually collecting digital art in the NFT space since 2019.
Yeah,
And have
you're
one
the
of the largest.
OGest of OGs.
Thank you. Not OG
Yeah, man.
emojis, but again, a connoisseur, right? No
Yeah.
fine art background whatsoever, but absolutely love art and have collected, I think, including NFT photography, which I've been going at a run at these past days, probably at about 1,900 pieces over the last 2 years.
It's
And
amazing.
the reason, Min Shi, the reason why that's music to my ears is because, as a collector, and you spoke about it in your first point, as a collector, when I want to collect, I want to collect somebody with a signature, right? And this was a very big discussion that I had last week with the NFT photography community. Really talking about saying, hey, I can take your piece of work, I can put it next to 100 other pieces of work, and without batting an eye, I'm going to be able to point to exactly which piece of work is yours, right? So that's really music to my ears when I hear that you're thinking about, what is me? What is my brand? What is my signature? What is my creative signature that will allow me to stand out from other creatives in the space? So absolutely music to my ears. Now, I've hogged up a lot of time. I know that David and Derek are pent up with questions for you from a creative and curator standpoint. So I'm going to hand it off to David and Derek to ask you the next bunch of questions before we talk about your work. David, Derek, please go ahead.
Yeah, so this is kind of fun. So I actually met Min at a conference in early 2019 called Motion Plus Design, which is almost like TED Talks for motion designers. And out of all the speakers, she blew everyone's mind with her career path and all the insanely high-level art that she's done since she was a kid. She's done like insane matte painting work and concept art and traditional painting, beautiful like 3D sculpting work, and then most recently cinematic 3D titles, right? So her talk was like an absolute mic drop with how she went from college into doing title sequences and then being hired by a top studio in the world for titles, which, as Min said, is Elastic. And at the end of the talk, I would definitely say that everyone in the audience had imposter syndrome, right? So like, it's kind of funny like that we talked about imposter syndrome, because she totally gave the entire audience imposter syndrome with that talk. So I definitely like recommend checking out that talk. So to me, it's funny that people think that she's a new artist because in reality, she's just new to NFTs, but she's at the very top of her game in the world of 3D motion design. And I personally like look up to her work. And this is true with like a lot of my friends who are extremely well known as motion designers, but they're just getting into NFTs now. So the NFT community assumes that they're quote unquote new artists, but often it's the furthest thing from the truth. And so as far as the piece, I love the layers of abstraction here, where we first see the character, then we see them through a TV and an old computer monitor. And then at the end, it's clear that the whole screen has static and glitches. So now our entire frame is also an old TV. And then, I loved what you said, Min, in your 10 questions interview, which is that the audience is also watching the NFT through another layer of abstraction, whether it's a phone or a computer screen. So to me, that's just a very thoughtful way of approaching a piece. And so one question is, how did this idea come about for you? Was it planned from the very beginning, or did parts of it come out as you worked through the project?
Yeah, it comes out as I work through the project because when I read the book like 5 times probably.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I wasn't quite sure because there are 10 chapters in the book. I wasn't quite sure. This chapter sounds interesting to me. This chapter talks about future education and parenting in AI, which is the twin spirits. Blake Catherine already did that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, which chapter I should pick? And then I found this gods behind a mask is kind of the perfect representation to represent my visual. At the first point. At the first point, to be honest, I wasn't resonated a lot with the story too much because it talks about deepfake, talk about how AI computer detect deepfake.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really sure what is going on at that point. So I did a lot of research, watch all the deepfake video and article on YouTube, from the TED Talk, everything I can access through the internet. And then I get to understand a little bit more and more and more about this. And I got fascinated about the story because the story is set up in Nigeria, which is very interesting to me because I always imagine the visual can combine high technology with nature, with river, canals, with wood piece textures, and with Nigerian South African symbols. So that's how I put in on the mask, and how I put in this environment. So I first got fascinated by the visual, and then I was thinking, how can I take this piece further in terms of philosophical kind of perspective. So I was thinking about, so this project talks about reality and deepfake. So this is a very fascinating and big topic in terms of philosophical aspect, and then aspect ratio.
Aspect ratio.
Yeah. Sorry. And then at that time, I watched a film directed by Antonioni Michelangelo called Blow Up. I really recommend it if you are not watching it, haven't seen it. So this film present about this idea. So imagine you have a camera, you're taking a picture. Are you capturing the reality through this moment, or are you creating a new reality? So it totally makes sense to me because using a camera, you use lens and different composition, use different lighting to kind of distort the world, the reality. So you kind of, as a photographer, you're using physical, real camera and real object in real world, but you create another your own world from your perspective. So I was thinking just making an image is kind of very ambiguous between reality and the fake world, your own digital, your own world you create. How about a video? Because you can see video can be very misleading sometimes, because from the filmmaker or from a news, they can change the way how they edit the sequence to kind of trick you, to kind of trick the entire message. And that's kind of similar to what I've been reading about the gods behind the mask, because there's a group of people trying to use media to twist the message people want to send. And that's how I got inspired, both from the book and both from a film called Blow Up. So
that's really cool. It's like layers and layers of abstraction and
layers and layers of reality combined with deep
and how we can distort reality even just through editing, or just the fact that we're creating 3D visuals is its own reality. And then we're watching that through the computer screen. So it's like, we're in our reality, watching it through the computer screen, seeing your, it's very, very meta. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I really got lucky, and I read the book and I watched the film, and I was boom, combine them together, inspiration, and kind of very makes sense to me, and kind of really speaks to me and present the voice I want to speak through this piece.
Totally.
I think that's beautiful. The elements, I wouldn't say before they happens, we couldn't define, or we weren't sure whether they could be right elements or not. But when you look back, everything kind of happens, at the right moments, right? Like the project, the book, the film, and then all the ideas, came along throughout the process of creations. And I do think, as you mentioned about difference between working on a client's works, and also now, you have the freedom, being as an individual artist to decide what projects you take, what artworks you create. there's a fine line, and then it's always interesting. I have this talk with David and then like Roll Marks like the other day, and I think when you are finally being like an artist, an individual artist, that you can decide everything, like the timeline, the freedom. There are for sure limitations, and then sometimes you're kind of being in this like endless field, and then no direction. But sometimes when that idea kicks in, it just blown, like it becomes one piece or several, a series of something. And like, first of all, I really appreciate David's perspective, and that's why I thought like getting him on, because I feel like it's always fascinating to see creative minds exchanging thoughts, ideas, perspectives together. The professionals always have more insightful and in-depth first understanding, then questions towards the creations or the fields that they are in. And like that was absolutely like amazing question and conversation. And then second of all, I just really want to want everybody to know that like Min is one of the, just like David, one of the kindest, one of the best people like to work with. And I know that she has put in like so much time, like even though she has also got like some other like day jobs working on. And it was the reason why I reached out to her was, so I was I was talking with David, and I was like, look, I'm helping TRLab to curate a project as well, partially. And then I was like, do you have any artists that you think are super talented, whether they are already well established or yet to be seen by the community? And he gave me a few names, and then he was like, oh, like immediately he was like, there's one artist who is super talented, and then she hasn't gotten to NFT yet, but definitely worth checking out. I was like, who is it? And then he told me it was Min, and so I went to check out like her Instagram page, and I was like immediately mind blown. And so I reached out to Min, and we started like this. We had a call for like 2 times, and everything just kind of came to one piece like very smoothly. And so I would say like there's one question, from this point on, after this project, for AI 2041, we have a theme, we have like a topic or this book, to be the inspiration or something to be built on top of. So after this project, do you have any like thoughts and plans on like, it could be any other projects, or it could be on your own? If there's one thing, like, do you have one thing in your mind that like throughout the past decades or your whole life, and you think there's one thing you would love to bring it into the world, given the freedom and time and the support you have received, and since you entered this NFT space, like the future kind of like future plans or just ideas that for the audience could also get the first message out of your this talk.
Yeah, as you said, we have TRLab, we have a theme, have already solid book content. I need to create. I got inspired based on the book, so it's kind of cheating because I have a content. Just is kind of, in that case, is kind of similar like client work, which is,
but it's not cheating because you came up with the whole scene, all the composition, the lighting, the camera movement, all yourself. So like you can't say that it's cheating to be inspired by a book.
It is tougher. It is in some ways it's still tougher than client works, because
it is,
given the freedom, given like there's
we only have
words. Words are also like for sure a form of art, but also when words are, I wouldn't say they're logical. Like words can be abstract and emotional, but the thing is, when words are written down, when we talk about like metaphysical things, such as art, even words sometimes we call like language is like not below metaphysical, but metaphysical things can always be expressed or described through words. So it is still up to you, and very difficult for the artist to kind of decide, or each step when they are how to execute this shot, or how to create one shot for this idea. So yeah, definitely it's still a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just saying cheating just for making fun of it. Yeah. It's totally. I just say it's cheating because it's already a very solid piece to me. It's already an art. The book is an art to me.
Yeah.
So I have to make another sub branch of an art, get inspired and based on an already solid piece, which to me really helped me a lot. It's kind of similar to client work, but also it's very different because when I talk to Derek, he suggests me like, oh no, you don't have to follow anything from the book. You can got inspired by a sentence, by a word, by anything, by the first visual like stands out in your mind. And I got really excited and also scared because it's not usually how I work. But I was thinking, you know what? Back in the time when I haven't jumped into in professional industry, I was just making my own art. I was just posting on Instagram, making my own personal project. Like you can see my personal project from my website called Glissando. So that's the first personal project CG animated art I did. So I was like, oh, maybe I should bring back that moment just to this project and also to the future NFT exploration. And speaking of that, you were asking me about the future plan. I was actually working on the next NFT right now. I was kind of almost finished it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I cannot say right now which part. It would be on Super Rare, but I cannot say which curating like the people I'm working with right now because it's not okay to say right now.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm making it, and I feel really confident about it because as I'm making it every day, I just feel this is the thing I really, really want to keep doing it every day. Yeah, I don't want to take a break. I just want to do it every day because making NFT art to me is pretty. It's like a meditation for me, and also cheers me up every day because I have a purpose now every day. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think it almost becomes your like natural instinct you have. It's not like a work anymore. It's not like in a schedule. It's just like things you do, you love enjoying. And then
it's fun. It's fun for artists.
You have to brush your teeth, right? And so yeah, and one of the last things like that I would say is NFT, like this community always, there are wonderful people here, including all the ones on stage, Will Shark, David Ariel. And then I think at least something that I enjoy the most is always, reaching out and also talking with people of all fields. Like with artists, I particularly, love just like, talking with them. And also I think when even artists between each other, like when you talk with David, or when sometimes I have a call with David and some other artists, it is just beautiful to see how they exchange their perspectives on certain things, and also their techniques, their skill sets, mediums and applications, all everything. Because I think that's when people actually come together and then being very supportive, and then with collectors, like such as Will Shark will give you like just point of views on like the artworks that he personally appreciates so much, and also in terms of like the space, how it is developing, and then also in for the career and as a whole. So yeah, I would say you would do you would kill it. Like you would be amazing like in the space, and it's just we are lovely to have you here.
Totally and utterly love this conversation. And Min Shi, back to your point, liberation, right? And freedom. Freedom, you spoke about the freedom bringing confusion and finding the self. And now the freedom is also giving you the opportunity to meditate and the freedom to be yourself, right? So very similar to the way that you say, I don't want to do anything else. I want to sit here at this computer and I want to be myself. As a collector, I can tell you from a collector's point of view, that's what I want to do as well, right? So I can tell you, if you told me 3 years ago that I'd be doing what I do today, which is getting up at 8 a.m. and literally going through thousands of pieces of artwork and photography all the way till 2 a.m. in the morning, I would tell you, dude, that's the best job in the world. But Min Shi, that is literally my day every single day, which is, and I don't want to do anything else, right? Because it's just an amazing experience whereby I get to see the creativity from creators while at the same time safekeeping that creativity for the future. So I think we've spoken a lot about your artwork. We're running at 50 minutes. So we actually, and I think you can see from the sideline, we actually have quite a number of questions we want to go through to the AMA. I do, however, want to make sure that we're showing people your artwork. So DC, if you can bring up my share screen again, I'm actually going to play.
I'm not sure if we have time, but I actually had a couple more questions about the actual artwork.
We can definitely do that, my friend.
Right.
Why don't we show Min Shi's artwork first? And I think all of you can see this. You guys might not be able to hear it, but essentially it is epic cinema music as it goes through. Very dramatic, extremely beautiful, hauntingly beautiful. But let's take a look at this piece, and then after that, David can continue to ask some questions. We can take some questions from the community depending on time. But I do want to make sure that everybody does see this. So here we go. Hauntingly beautiful. Hauntingly beautiful.
It's amazing.
Hold on 1 second. Let me just refresh my screen so that I can actually find my mouse again. And Min Shi, I think you can see from the sidelines, those are all the questions coming in live from the community, by the way.
I
They
can see
literally, you have been getting compliment upon compliment, David as well. And then after that, for David, mentioning the speech that you had, someone actually dug up the speech itself and posted it on the Discord.
Yes, that's
as well.
awesome. It was seriously like the most epic part of that whole conference. I was like, everyone was just floored, and we were like, "Fuck, we need to like go quit our jobs now."
David, so why don't you shoot away with a couple of your questions, and after that, maybe
Sure.
we'll do 1 or 2 questions, and after that, we'll make sure that we remind people where they can participate in this epic auction.
Absolutely. So the atmospherics and lighting are beautiful in your work, and it creates a super dramatic vibe. But I also like that you're allowing saturated colors into the scene. Often with like very serious tones, artists tend to desaturate the image a lot. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this is like a unique take to me that still maintains that serious tone, but like also has like very saturated colors, which I think is really cool. So like, what's your process with lighting? I noticed that on the wide shot of all the TVs, for instance, you're using like very nice reddish orange rim lights on the character, as well as lighting the smoke behind the character, which almost creates like a vignette of light to direct the eye. And you also use a lot of color contrast with like the blue in the far background in the sky that silhouettes the windmill. So yeah, again, the overall question is like, what's your process with lighting?
Lighting of these scenes is pretty hard because it's very surreal and it's on a river. It's just keep reflecting everywhere. It's hard to hide the lights, the hot spots from the reflection.
True.
So it's pretty tricky, and especially the camera is pulling out, moving. So when when you have a big camera movement, that's the involves tons of work because you have to hide like some pieces, some model when they catch light.
Yeah,
they might not look perfect. The silhouette might look pretty weird, and the lighting might not work at all.
True,
so it took me a lot of time to refine and polish this shot. Like speaking of lighting,
real quick, people don't realize that, because we have to deal with moving cameras, that can reveal, like you said, the light changes over the course of time. So it's not the same as lighting for a single static composition. You have to account for how things change as you move the camera. And when I'm working on my shots personally in music video, like full CG music video kind of things, if I change even the camera angle slightly to a different angle, you have to move all the lights and relight the entire scene. It doesn't, sometimes it'll work across multiple shots, but usually to get the best results, you have to relight every single shot independently, like you would as a, DP, director of photography.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally agree. It's really tons of work, and there's really not a an easy cheating way.
No,
you
there's
can
no cheat
hide
way to
it.
do it usually. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the fascinating thing is like lighting in 3D program is quite similar. Like in Octane and Redshift is quite similar in a real actual studio, like or in real life film setting. So I think I got like kind of experience from filmmaking because I was on set. So I kind of like tried to pulling back. Oh, what did they do back in the time when we were shooting this? So I was maybe put the light here, and a lot of part of it. Another part is just based on my, I don't know, what's in my
Personal
mind.
aesthetic.
Yeah, just through experimenting, just putting lights to turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah, a lot of it is literally just experimentation.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't often know exactly how I'm going to light a scene until I jump. Like I'll have some vague idea, but then I jump in there and just start moving lights around until it looks right to me, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, speaking of light, I want to point out this. Sorry, I might be disappeared because I'm trying to grab a book.
Nice.
So I'm a big fan of photography. Oops, this is a
Min Shi,
very
you are appealing to a large portion of the crowd right now. A lot of NFT photographers watching you right now, my friend.
Nice.
Oh, great! So that's great. I'm not a professional photographer, but I just love using camera to explore to help. So this is the Magnum contact sheet collection I bought. Kind of probably the most expensive book I ever had. So this book has like iconic things, like the most iconic picture ever taken from 1920 to 2000. And what's fascinating about the book is like they actually, sorry, which side is it? Published the contact sheet. Like you can see from the right red notes circle, this is the thinking from a photographer's point of view, how they treat and how they Photoshop, how they select all those, like from all those collection, how they making the process. So you can really like see the process of thinking from a photographer's point of view. So I really recommended this book, and this is the book where I always I bring up the cover of it. It's pretty heavy. I feel like I'm working
book
out
was
right now.
larger
working
than
out.
it sounded. I knew you were gonna bring out a big book, but that book is huge.
Massive. But I want to get that book. That looks cool. I definitely like. Yeah.
Oops. Yeah.
It's gigantic.
Can you see it?
Contact sheets, I can see.
Contact sheets.
Magnum
Yeah.
contact sheets, right?
Yeah. I think this has a limited edition. Probably, I don't know how many editions they publish, but I just instantly get it. And also, I have a lot of like photographers book. Like it's just when I running out of like creative ideas about lighting, I just like look at those books. This is the only way help me, and also film. So I would say, in terms of how I got inspired, in terms of lighting in 3D, it's always come from real life. Yeah.
You are
That's awesome.
your choice in photo books is being praised in the Discord as you speak. You're seeing a really
Nice.
dope book. Wow, I love that book. Very cool. We like photography. Nothing beats a big glossy book. You're getting some photography fans in
The
there.
hardcover
That's
is
great, that's
$300. That's amazing.
Yeah.
David,
And then
go ahead.
real quick, yeah, my last question is that I also love the camera movement in this piece. And starting on that low angle, looking up at the mask is so impactful. It's like such an impactful way of beginning the sequence. And then you gradually reveal more details of the scene before getting to the wide shot, which I feel creates like more mystery. You know, how you're going from just the detail and then another shot of some details, then we're at the wide shot. Do you have like a process kind of similar to the lighting question? Do you have a process for deciding what the camera movement should be? And do you refer to shots from films, or is it more free form where you like build the scene up and then experiment with a bunch of different angles first before deciding on what the actual camera movement and composition are going to be?
Yeah, in terms of camera movement and also editing,
Mhm.
what I got inspired is from film too.
Yeah.
So I'm a big film fan. I'm in love with a lot of films director like Michelangelo, and Alejandro Jodorowsky and the Tchaikovsky. Those are my biggest three film directors, and I got inspired from them a lot. I just so in terms of camera movement, always come from what I watch, like the film I watch. Yeah.
Definitely. That's awesome. And what was the most challenging aspect of this project for you? Was it like the blank slate syndrome we were talking about earlier, where it's like you don't know exactly what you're going to create, and like not, that departure from client work, which I feel too, by the way, like it's, that's been the most difficult thing for me too, is removing myself from client work and just thinking of like, what do I actually want to create as a solo artist? That's definitely the hardest thing. But like, that's one aspect, but like technically also, what was the most challenging aspect of this project?
Yeah, technically, the most challenging, I think you already asked, is the lighting and also
Okay, cool.
with the camera movement in that wide shot on the river or with all the screen. That's the most kind of challenging. But I would say another challenging thing is actually like just trying to deliver on time, to be honest, is challenge too, because as an artist we want it to be 100% perfect.
Absolutely.
But with the rendering time, this piece actually take me, I only have one computer, by the way, so this piece take me like, I don't know, 20 days to render it.
Wow.
I already made it, but it takes 20 days to make it.
Hopefully, you should get some more machines once you make that NFT money.
I know. I know. I just
got a huge set of.
I need a more computer. I need to build a render farm. To be honest. So to me, it's like the challenging part is how to get this down. If you take out those 20 minutes, 20 days just rendering, so basically, I have very limited short turnaround for this project.
Yeah.
How to make it like kind of 100% kind of perfect, or like what I want to present.
Yeah, that's been really challenging for me too, because there's so many projects and so many opportunities in the NFT space, and I'm constantly getting requests to make things. So it's like, I would love to take 4 or 5 months and carve out like even half a year or more to create a short film, which is the other kind of thing. I do abstract work as well as like, more cinematography based like film type work. But I would love to have that kind of time to really just perfect an entire short film. That's like, that's the most fun for me a lot of the time. But it's like very hard because the NFT space is moving so quickly lately, and you want to stay relevant and let collectors know that you're still here, you're still producing work. So it's like hard to balance that, those two things. Yeah.
Yes, totally. You cannot, I can't imagine if you spend like half a year to make an NFT piece. Because
that's the goal, though. We should be able to do that. Like,
because I want to do that, because I want it to be longer. I want to put more time and more like polish this project.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's just like you just have to keep like making and like quickly sending your multiple NFTs so that people still remember you. Otherwise, people will just think, "Oh, where is this person?"
Exactly. Hopefully, we can find a balance. Hopefully, we can find a balance with that, though, and also hopefully in the near future, like long form NFT work will start to get more appreciated, and collectors will start to understand that if something is like a 2-minute long short, or that tons of work went into that, or like just for instance, Cornelius Domrich, who's one of my favorite artists, he spends 3 or 4 months on a single still, modeling everything from scratch. And a lot of collectors don't understand the difference between that and other pieces that maybe, like Beeple, for instance. I love Beeple, he's a good friend of mine, but he's making his pieces in a single day. Though with him, the whole project is the entire everydays, the collection of 5,000, dailies in that story. But there's like anything in between. It's a spectrum, and a lot of the time work is rushed. But that's not, I don't know, it's complex, That's not to say that quick work is worse by any means. Sometimes we focus too much on the technical, and it's more important to focus on the artistic, and maybe like the work is done in a day, but the concept and the composition and is so strong. And there's that like saying about, I don't know the exact saying, but it's like Picasso drew on a napkin, and it's like it took his whole lifetime to be able to get there, even though he just drew a little scribble in a few seconds, so there's a whole lot to consider as far as quality and the artwork.
Like in order to master the skills, it takes not just time. Like I think in order to become what we so call like masters, it takes the artistic, the essence of arts, and also the pursuits like in arts. And now like it's very interesting, and hopefully one day like we can, the artists, like I sincerely hope that like the environments and the space we can somehow come up with things, and then better like for the artists to, because I feel like artists are, their main goal is, and also their, not just their main goal, like what they love enjoying the most must be creating art. But now it's kind of tricky. Like some people are very like talkative, and then they are just easy to get along with people. So like they can, like the engagement they have in the space is huge, which has helped them to build a huge community.
Marketing is super important too, and that's not natural for a lot of artists.
And then, but artists are supposed, or I wouldn't say support, but like they are good at creating arts, and then they enjoy the most is what they enjoy the most is creating art. And now they've got like multiple tasks to accomplish.
And let's not even think about like paying attention to the crypto markets, like learning about Ethereum, learning about crypto security, like not getting hacked, like all of these. It's a giant laundry list. Like it's like I've learned so much this year, but it's like only a small part has been actually learning to create better art and getting better techniques, more techniques under my belt. So much of it has been just learning the crypto space and like investing too. Like that's another potential huge part of it, is like collecting NFTs ourselves, and collecting altcoins and all of these things. It can be very overwhelming.
Yes, that's how I feel at the first week.
Just
instantly notice, oh wow, okay. Yeah, because personally, my personality is just kind of, I'm extroverted, but kind of still, I think I'm more introverted.
You're an ambivert, like that's my favorite term for it, is like, I think of myself that way too. It's like I can be extroverted in certain situations, but like we're also like, as artists, I think most of us are somewhat introverted. Like even just like the process of sitting in front of the computer kind of turns you into a hermit after a while.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, in that case, circumstances like marketing yourself, promoting yourself is kind of really tricky to me. But I'm trying to do that.
It's just another skill that all of us can learn, I feel.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also,
sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Min Shi. Go ahead.
Oh, and also, I think it's really good actually, like hearing people telling you, "Oh, we love your work. I just want to tell you, you just keep what you're doing. Like, just keep working on it. Like, I just feel it's really nice to hear kind words from people I don't even know who they are, but they're very generous to give me this very kind word, which is extremely important to me recently. Extremely, you don't know how that important. It's just, it really helps me like to. It's
motivating for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like people, it shows that you're on the right track, that people appreciate your work. It's great to have that support.
Yeah, it's great to validate by your supporter, other people, and also like an artist, you can grow faster in that case. I just feel that's the very good side about marketing and promoting yourself. It's like you can actually get feedback from people instantly.
Yeah, I think like also knowing that your art inspires people, like that's the I'm sure the satisfaction from that aspect, is also a motivation for oneself, for the creators themselves, but also when something has moved has touched, on someone's, emotions, or just inspiring in some sense. That's, in the end, I think, at least to me, amazing art, great art piece, is always thoughtful, philosophical, or inspiring in some sense, not just simply like visual pleasing. Especially I believe with the professional artists like you guys have been working in this industry for so long, or like the fine artists who have painted, been working like created paintings their whole life. It's not hard to create like a visual pleasing piece, but it's more about like
that's the process. Is a lot of us are going through that right now, is like finding our own voice and being being thrust into this NFT scene, or rather making the decision to jump into this NFT scene, and then that conflict between client work, where often our identities were absorbed into the studio itself. Like the studio gets the credit for the work, they tell you what to do, but a lot of the people that work at these studios are fucking genius artists, right? And they could find their own voice. So there's going to be a process over however long it's going to take for many of these artists to come out and figure out what they want to say, what their visuals look like, and just finding their own voice as an artist and what interests them, in terms of creation. And I think that's going to be the most attractive thing to so many artists, is like the ability to explore on your own what you want to create, train yourself and go down whatever crazy rabbit hole you want to. For me, it's been mirror boxes lately, which is totally bizarre and not something I thought I'd be, creating a whole giant series out of. But yeah, it's like a really exciting and gratifying process.
Absolutely love this conversation, and I can tell all of you, and you guys have been in space for a while. Community is going to really be key, right? Because community provides support, community provides information, community provides knowledge sharing. So I think one of the things that no one is going to lack in coming into NFTs is really that sense of community and sharing, which really struck me as a big plus. I do want to be conscious of time, as a lot of people have loved this conversation. I think, Min Shi, from the private chat, you can see that you have a bunch of questions there. I'm going to pick out one, right?
Okay.
All of those are questions, and then we've actually selected them from the Discord. There are actually more, so we just selected a few.
That's amazing.
This has been absolutely wonderful from an interview perspective. But I think, why don't we pick out one question here? And I think a lot of people always ask about inspiration, right? So the one question I would ask from the Discord is, what influences and interests help to shape your artistic style and aesthetic?
I think the artistic style from the artist first comes from their taste, comes from what they love, comes from what the stuff outside catch their eyes. So to me, it's definitely film, photography, and the art itself, like fine art. Like I said during the talk before, I mentioned a lot of film directors and films I love to watch. Mainly the film I love to watch are kind of not mainstream film, because I work for mainstream film. So, and I study like the making of mainstream film. So I kind of know how it works. So every time when I go to a movie, I just feel, I just kind of know what is going on, maybe what's the ending would be. So I kind of lost interest a little bit just from a filmmaker's perspective. And then I got interested to watch more kind of indie kind of film and old film from the like masterpieces from Jodorowsky, Michelangelo Antonioni, and Tchaikovsky. So right now, at the present, I'm still trying to collecting inspiration from mostly film and photography. Yeah.
I think I don't think I would do you justice or the community justice unless I ask one more question. Okay. I might get blowback from them because again, they absolutely love this interview. I can tell you that the engagement has been out of the ballpark. So why don't I ask the final question here? So the question is, we talked about inspiration, but we have a question that's a little bit more personal. What do you do to get into the zone? Do you have like any pre-creation rituals or any specific music, I assume, that you listen to as you're creating?
Yeah, I love music, and my dad is a musician. So I always listening to music, but I don't really listen to music when I'm working on art because to me sometimes it's kind of distracting because I would just pay attention to the music because I love music so much. And
especially
then,
music with words is distracting, I feel.
Yeah. Especially, music with lyrics is pretty distracting to me while I'm working on stuff. I cannot listen to any podcast, anything. I just have to be like alone, like very silently while I'm working on stuff.
Yeah, me too.
But if I'm like rendering, if I'm compositing, so it's not involve a lot of like, very technical stuff, like when you exploring, trying to figure out your visual in 3D. So I will listen to music, trying to find the flow, kind of when I'm like the pre-production of my project, like I'm looking for inspiration on the internet, looking for other people's work. I will like read a script. When I read a book, I will listen to the music. But when I'm working, I've definitely like zero music at all. Yeah.
Amazing. And we talked about inspiration. Min Shi, if I can say anything about your work whatsoever, it is fully inspired, and it's inspiring me as I watch it on screen. I've been watching it on screen as we've been speaking. It's utterly and completely beautiful. I know that all of the viewers and the entire audience will fully agree with me. For everyone out there, God's Behind the Mask by Min Shi drops in 22 hours, 33 minutes, and 38 seconds. You can go to participate in the TRLab website, which is trlab.com. It's an epic piece of artwork. It is Min Shi's Genesis piece. And I know a lot of you share the same sentiments that I do when I look at this beautiful masterpiece. Also, a shout out. Min Shi has just joined us on crypto Twitter. So I think all of you guys gotta start following her there. Make sure you follow Min Shi at MINSHI_1, and let's make her feel welcome in the crypto Twitterverse. Min Shi, welcome to NFT land. Welcome to crypto Twitter. David, Derek, Min Shi, it's been a total pleasure to have you guys on Project Showcase in this long-term interview partnership with TRLabs. I wish all three of you the very best, and we can't wait to have you back again in the very near future, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank
It was
you
really
so
fun.
much.
Thank you. And DC,
Thank
you
you.
can take us out.